Hi everybody, on this day, the 8th of August, Lionsgate as it's called. When I interviewed Peter Koenig, I think it was in episode 38 or maybe 37, but I think it was 38, back in December of last year. Peter Koenig said something very interesting. I mean, he said a lot of interesting things in that talk. It was a very good talk, I think. And he said so many interesting things, which all of my guests do. They tend to say very interesting things, and that's why I interview them. Anyway, he said something that struck a chord that resonated with me. Can you say that? Strike a chord? Yes, I guess you can. Well, he did anyway. He struck a chord that resonated really deeply with me. He said, and it was when we were talking about success and failure, and I said something to the effect of, or along the lines of meaning, saying that you know, if you just follow your passion, you follow your heart, success will come. I said something along those lines, and then he said, "Yes, Anders, but you have to be careful about that, Anders. You know, sometimes success doesn't come, at least not in the traditional sense of what we call success. The point of doing what you love, Anders," he said, "the point of doing what you love is doing what you love." That really made me think a lot and feel a lot. The only point of doing what you love is doing what you love. And it's obvious, of course, but you know, we have this feeling or sense or idea that doing that will automatically lead to something, to some kind of, you know, three-dimensional physical success to that. I've actually hesitated to do this, to record this video today, because when I decided to do it, to talk about these things, to talk about failure, I was in a pretty low place, and that was 5 weeks ago, maybe 6 weeks ago or so. I just came up with this idea. I had been pondering these things, and I felt a bit low, so I thought, I'll just do it. I'll just record a video about it, and that will make me feel better, and hopefully it can help some other people too. So today I'm not in that low place anymore. I feel more confident, and I'm more positive. You know, it's like that. Life goes up and down. Anyway, but I thought that I would record this video and talk about these things anyway, because it is important. It's important because it is about what is important to focus on in life. What is important to focus on in life? I mean, if I look at my own endeavor, my achievements in life, you might call it my career. I don't like that word really. I think career is too much connected with the societal matrix, or the you know, the structural matrix that we have, and that I want to get away from as much as possible. But anyway, we can call it my career. If you look at that from a, you know, a matrix standpoint, three-dimensional physical standpoint, point of view, you can't really come to any other conclusions than that it is a failure. At least this is how I see it. And you know how it is. We all know people who we deem very successful, who are extremely disappointed and think that they have failed in everything in their life. And then we know other people who are on paper, I mean on the surface of things, not particularly successful, but they're just very happy about their lives anyway. We all know these kinds of people. Both kinds exist. So I am exaggerating a little bit, but when I was in that low place, I thought about things in this way, you know, because I mean, things that I've done, the achievements that I have closest to my heart are, some of them are my books, and the first one was fantastic to write. It's called The Cozy Darkness of the Apocalypse, if we translate it to English, and that was about 12 years ago. It was exactly 12 years ago that it came out, in 2009, and it was, you might say it was a success, because it was reviewed in a lot of papers, but nobody bought it really. Nobody bought it. and it was an economic loss to me. And then I wrote another book that no publisher didn't even want to touch, or they didn't say it was bad. They just said, no, we can't do this. We can't publish it right now. Good luck somewhere else. So I published it myself, and even less people bought that book. So it was really, really, I mean, a failure from a practical standpoint. And then I wrote a third book when I was working together with a very famous professor in Sweden who was very, very renowned and hailed and very known for his spectacular lectures about how the world develops and how the world really is if you look at the facts. So that was fantastic. His name was Hans Rosling, and I worked together with him, and I got this assignment to write a book, which I did, but that book wasn't even published. I mean, they paid me, he and his wife and his son, his family, who were all working together. They reimbursed me, compensated me for having done this. I got my money, so that's not the problem. But the book was never published because they had, during the time I was writing that book, that script, they came up with a different idea. Oh, this is the book we should write instead. So they ended up doing that instead, and that book became a success. It sold millions of copies. So the one that I wrote was never published. Then I wrote a fourth book together with a colleague about Africa and Africa's challenges, and it was great, and it was had some good reviews, and many people like it. And I held lectures based on that book, but it also has not sold very many copies, very, very few actually. So all of these book projects that I've been doing have been, they have sold very, very few copies, and I haven't made any money, apart from that book that never was published that I wrote for Professor Rosling, because I was compensated for that, so that was economically okay. And then I have this podcast, of course. I started this podcast 1 year ago, and that's also a reason why I'm talking about this, because tomorrow is exactly 1 year since I started the podcast, August 9th. I mean, officially. I started it in July, but officially I started on August 9th. There was a launch party. So anyway, I mean, I had hopes for this podcast, and I still have. And I love doing it. I think it's one of the best things that I can do, because I follow my heart, I follow my passion, I interview people that I want to interview, and I do these solo things, and I really believe that I'm doing almost exactly those things that I have dreamed about doing when it comes to, I mean, communicating in this way. But I mean, how many followers do I have? How many subscribers? How many? It's not that, you know, other podcasts that are in this same neck of the woods, so to speak, have twice as many or 10 times as many. No, they can have, you know, some of them have 1,000 times as many followers and subscribers as I have. 1,000 times more. I mean, how about that? Well, I don't know. You can just laugh about it, and partly it's probably about a question of hanging in there. You know, endurance. Endurance is part of it. But anyway, what I want to come to, the point of this talk is that you know, this is all on a 3D level. The success thing is a thing, a very shallow thing, a superficial thing, a three-dimensional thing. It's on paper. It's a theoretical matrix thing, of course, because as Peter Koenig said, the point of doing what you love is doing what you love. Don't think about the success or failure aspect of it. And here's and I want to say that because of this, one might say that my career is a failure, and my God, I mean, I have even at times thought that even my love life is a failure. So I mean, there's no end to the self-pity that you can have. But you know all about this. It's just human, you know. But I don't feel that today. But I have been thinking those thoughts anyway. But because of the fact that this is only superficial and it's just a 3D thing, I want to say that you might say that it's a failure on paper, but it's a victory of the heart. So it is. This podcast is my heart's victory. And not only do we need to think about what Peter Koenig said, that the point of doing what you love is doing what you love, nothing else. The other thing is that you should have, and this is the tricky part, this is really tricky, you should not have any expectations of the outcome. Don't have any expectations of the outcome. Just do what you love as much as you can, follow your heart, follow your passion, with no expectations. And it's so hard. We all know it's hard. I mean, there's nothing wrong in visualizing, envisaging what it is you want to achieve. There's nothing wrong with that, of course. But once you've done that, the thing is that you should back off and just sit with it as if it's already a reality. Think of it as if you're already there. I know it's difficult. I think it's difficult. But sometimes, some days, I am actually in that state and it feels so much better and I do my things so much better. And all those things are so much easier to create when you don't give a damn, pardon my French, about the outcome. That's the trick. So, I hope that this helped some of you, because it's all about how you see it. Is it a failure or is it a success? And does it even matter? It doesn't. I love you. Have a nice week now. Bye-bye. If you like this video and other interviews and talks on Mind the Shift, please like, share, and subscribe. I appreciate all the support. Thank you.